really, really hard and they execute your system, and that's what it's all about. Yes, sir. Trust.
Big trust.
Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir. Right on cue. Hey, right on cue. Hey, let me close.
We are back on the Jumbo set. It is another week. It is week 3 in the NFL. My name is Jake Luke, and I'm joined by Spencer Nathaniel Schultz. Going to have a little bit of an abbreviated opening for you here. Going to kind of just go through the game itself in Spenny's notebook, do some mega culpas, talk through it all, because we have a very fun chat with a very special guest at the end of the show. How we doing tonight, sir?
Doing well, a little tired. NFL's hit me a little bit in the mouth, punching me in the face a little bit. I was up late last night. The Steelers game was crazy. The Saints-Panthers game, full slate, tape coming through. We're hopping into YouTube. Jake, you and I are really dialed in right now. So we're churning out a bunch of content, but I'm all right. I'm okay. We just had a great conversation with our guest, Jack Settleman, founder of SnapBack Sports, head of winning at Underdog, hosts the Punchline Podcast with Marlon Humphrey. So we have a great chat with him on the back end of this episode. Definitely stick around for that. We're going to be having Jack on. I think we didn't even get into what we spat that out as fully, but we want to have Jack come on. He's going to be going to every single Thursday night game. We talk about that. Want to get some picks from him, get a little vantage of the NFL as a whole brought on to this podcast, really, this football specific Jumbo set episode we are doing every single Wednesday morning for you guys. So I'm feeling all right. I feel a little rejuvenated after that conversation. How are you feeling, my friend?
Feeling great. And yeah, I'm feeling rejuvenated after it too. For all our non-gamblers, I'm getting a little bit more into the gambling stuff, but for all our non-gamblers, if you were thinking of skipping that, please do not, because there is some really juicy Marlon Humphrey stuff in there. Jack has a good relationship with him. They do a podcast together, which we get into plenty of that, but that is my teaser to stick around for it. But yeah, man, I'm feeling good. I was a little wiped out the last couple of days, similar to you. We kind of had a long day on Sunday, a fun day, but a little bit of a long day. And then Monday was just kind of your typical Monday, blah, whatever. And then I probably fell asleep before halftime the last night. So thankfully, I missed the Nick Chubb injury. I've seen about a split second of it, and I have no desire to watch anymore. Very unfortunate. Sad to see that for a great player who I have a lot of respect for. But yeah, Browns look terrible. Steelers didn't look much better. Their defense looks good. I think the Browns defense is going to be good. Ravens sitting atop the AFC North after, we touched on it a little bit on Sunday. I think that might have been a little bit of one of our more drunk pods that we've done in recent memory, but just I wouldn't say
it was a celebratory pod. I'll give us the excuse there. It was a celebration. First Orioles team to go in a while, but we definitely were a little drunken.
Yeah, no, and that's perfectly okay. That's why we do this. And it was tremendous, a tremendous overall day and a tremendous game from the Ravens. Like I said, I wouldn't necessarily call it dominant. It was just a complete game. They did stuff on defense. They did stuff on offense. They didn't make mistakes really anywhere, and they got out of Cincy, with a nail-biting win, which is great to see.
They definitely did. And like you said, it wasn't this explosive, earth-shattering. We think of Cincinnati. We think of the Lamar Jackson 2019 spin move, Nick Vigil doing all these crazy things. I mean, they generated some explosive plays here and there, but they just sustained drives. And that's what we touched on in the preview. Could the Bengals go the distance? Would they be able to generate explosive plays against DBs that were having to step up for the Ravens? And would they be able to sustain long drives? The Bengals obviously get that punt return touchdown, but they couldn't really, and they didn't generate that long explosive touchdown play or anything like that. I think one of the most interesting plays was Kyle Hamilton, your boy, coming up on a third down. One of the few times the Ravens did finally bring pressure. Really, they just sat in that cover zero mugged look so much of that game defensively. And what we touched on as well, that Burrow has said, it's always something different. Like you don't get with Brian Flores, he is still creative. He still does new things. He does kind of repeat himself within those looks. McDonald doesn't. He goes deeper into that simulated pressure. We called it Santa Claus's bag. And the one of the few times he actually went all out on third down, Kyle Hamilton comes up and snags Irv Smith, makes a shoestring kind of tackle that could have gone a long, long way. So having that thin margin for error and executing was really what stood out to me. This Ravens defense is a program. That's our word of the season, I think.
They are. We were talking about everyone else being a program. We might have just the real program was the team we had sitting 5 miles away from us all along.
Absolutely. And Mike McDonald, I think, has a program defensively. A lot of that is Anthony Weaver, I think, too. And what that defensive line was doing, Travis Jones was hurting guards. Shoving Alex Kappa into the earth. Michael Pierce and Travis Jones were walking them around. And Mina Kimes chimed in a little bit. I've ended up having a quick little response with her on Twitter or whatever, but she makes a great point. It's like the Ravens develop, they're in the too high world. That's all we talk about defense in the NFL. Too high, too high, too high. But they're not letting teams throw over the middle of the field either. And you can't run the ball on them with any explosive consistency at all. So it's been a pleasure to watch so far through 2 games.
I'm one of these people that thinks they need to ban too high safety looks.
Oh, for sure. That's the next outlaw, the next bootleg. We'll put that on Goodell's to-do list for sure. We'll get that in the owners' meetings. Ban too high. It's like the shift. We got to get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. You have players and you can put them anywhere except, oh wait, no, you can't. But yeah, I don't know. I think you hit on a lot of good stuff there. Hamilton with the shoestring tackle on, I think it was Irv Smith. That guy had 25 miles of green grass in front of him. So that was a nice play by him, among a couple nice plays that he made. I mean, this defense really just top to bottom. Rocky Sin saving the touchdown on Jamar Chase. I feel like Jamar Chase catches that 9 out of 10 times, and Rock made the play the one time. T. Higgins, feasting on them a little bit, but we talked about it while we were watching the game. We might have brought this up on the recap show too, but it felt like, let's just take Jamar Chase out of this one. And if you want to beat us with T. Higgins, you can go ahead and go for it, but we're not going to let you beat us with number 1 this time around. And it certainly worked to perfection. And I mean, it's amazing what they're doing with not only without Marlon Humphrey, but without Marcus Williams. They are just really down to some pretty slim pickings at cornerback, and these guys are just all punching above their weight. Ronald Darby looks solid again. I thought Mullet made a few plays, and yeah, they got beat here and there, but that's going to happen anyway in the modern NFL. Even if you're a great player like Humphrey, and then if you're guys like this, then you got to expect it's going to happen, certainly more than it has. So I think that is a credit to McDonald, to your point, and this coaching staff all the way through. I was on with Kevin Ostreicher, a couple hours ago, and we were talking about it. It's just top to bottom, this staff with guys like, D'Alessandris on one side, and then you've got guys on the other side, like, McDonald and Weaver, who you mentioned already. It's just, it feels like they are many deep in the coaching staff. And I think that's a big part of why depth is important, or the fact that the depth that they have is stepping up in the way that they are. I think it's a tremendous credit to them.
Absolutely. And the Ravens were so good on third down offensively. Lamar Jackson looked every part of, and we talk about the corners being out. Obviously, Pat McCary has to come in for Ronnie Stanley. Sam Mustipher has to sub in for Tyler Linderbaum. So it's like your secondary and your offensive line are both wounded in this game, and no problem, no issue. Lamar Jackson, I think Next Gen Stats posted, was pressured on 9.1% of his dropbacks, which is the lowest total of his career. And if you want to go really get in depth on a really solid breakdown, I do love JT O'Sullivan's quarterback school. I can't get myself to watch more than like 20 minutes of it. They're so long. I did watch the entire Lamar Jackson one. He's only done him a few times, but so good about Lamar Jackson's mechanics. There's one specific thing, my film breakdown, that I think is actually about to debut in 2 minutes about the Ravens opening drive. Something that stood out is like Lamar Jackson's control, his poise, everything was so good. And he is so close to being mechanically like royalty for what the conception of him was. The only thing that I see, and O'Sullivan touches on it, and I go back and I just see it time and time again, is that when he hits the top of his drop, I liken it to me having issues as a golfer. I top the ball a ton. I raise up in my swing instead of sit down, and it makes me top the ball. When Lamar Jackson bounces up, he's no longer throw ready. He has to sit back down again. He has to come down on the ball like a golfer, sit down so that he can get to throw ready. And I think that was really like the only thing that prevented him from going, like completing 97% of his passes or something. There was just a couple instances where the timing was off, things like that. So he is so close to playing a complete game that has no flaws in it. I mean, he can pepper the ball. He can change velocity. He can change arm angles. He's an unbelievable athlete. When he gets protected like that, you can't, like, Mahomes can beat the Ravens maybe, and doesn't have really the horses, it's looking like right now, to do a lot of damage. So I think this Ravens team can go far. If Lamar Jackson stays healthy, I think this team is, as you and I kind of thought, and even more towards what you thought. I guess the overreaction from 2 weeks into the season is that, like, man, oh man. And sure, Joe Burrow's hurt and whatever else, you can play devil's advocate, but man, oh man, this offense, if you give them 2 healthy guys every game out of Andrews, Bateman, Odell, and Flowers, and I'll even throw Aguilar in there, give them 3 of those 5 guys healthy in a game, I think they are maybe the hardest out in the NFL. They have that defense that is removing the ability to generate explosive plays and isn't letting you throw over the middle of the field with consistency because they have a 7-foot-tall Millennium Falcon Kyle Hamilton running around back there. They have Roquan Smith, who's playing hyperspeed, super efficient. Queen's doing a nice job in addition, in coverage, things like that. And they don't even have a Marlon Humphrey or Marcus Williams right now, and they go whoop up on the Bengals offense and put a lid on them. It's a 3-point game, but didn't feel like one. So a really complete, thorough showing in every aspect. They ran the ball well. Gus Edwards had a run that you'll see in that film breakdown if you go check that out on the Exit 52 YouTube channel. Gus Edwards had a run where he just saw Logan Wilson in the hole so far ahead of time. When he's receiving the handoff, he's visioning, staring right at Logan Wilson on an inside zone concept and just sets him up so perfectly, gets the ball high and tight, gets skinny, uses his blocker's leverage to eliminate Logan Wilson, and then on that opening drive just rumbles for 17 yards. Clean, precise. It was a very thorough, fun performance from this Ravens team. Mark Andrews, not even feeling his best yet, probably. He needs a week or 2 still, I think, to get back to the Mark Andrews that we know. But man, oh man, this Ravens team put forth a really solid effort. But I'm glad that John Harbaugh gets to chew them out about special teams. Keep it going, John.
Yeah, no, that was the one thing that was just is this going to be one of those games? Because, they go down there, they do that tone setting drive was kind of the buzzword for it. 8 minutes off the clock, 7 points. That was just a massive way to start that game. And it just gives you a good vibe. And then what do you know? Charlie Jones, some dude I've never heard of, returns a punt. And then the refs pick up a flag on the field. I don't know what was going on there. It definitely looked like they could have gotten a block on the back and, whatever. If they don't want to call it, I get it. Don't soften the league up any more than we already have. But yeah, outside of that, the Bengals offense just really wasn't doing much. And you hit on the fact, Tyus Bowser's still coming back. Marlon Humphrey's still going to come back. And Marcus Williams, we got an update on him this week that it sounds like things are better than they were expected. He might be back a lot sooner than people think. He is not going to the IR. As far as their offense goes, you were right. I think they looked completely deep at wide receiver where you have Beckham. I thought Beckham looked really good in the first half. It's kind of like going under the radar how good he looked because he did wind up getting hurt, had the ankle injury. It didn't sound like it was too serious, but it did, as you'll hear Jack say, it prevented him from making an appearance on the Punchline podcast this week. So I guess we'll have to kind of monitor that situation, watch this space with Odell. But yeah, when he went down, you have Nelly Aguilar coming up all of a sudden. He's doing the very same thing that Beckham was doing, where he's going over the middle, and it's Lamar Jackson just taking what the defense gives him, 12 yards here, 8 yards there. I'm just going to take this dig route, this in route, and just fire it in there, and he's going to make the catch. And, he had a couple even passes where it looked like he could have been throwing hospital balls, but he placed them just right in where the defense couldn't get.
He does such a good job protecting guys from hits with ball placement over the middle of the field. He always throws it away from the hit, never gets his guys laid out.
Yeah, and then a great touch pass to Aguilar there in the end zone, and it was the most complete performance, like I said, that we've seen from Lamar Jackson, certainly in a very long time. So that was great. And then running backs I thought looked good too. Justice Hill looked solid.
Justice Hill looked really good in pass pro too, which is
and in the receiving game, he had the little screen pass where Lamar dodged the guy and he goosed it to him and he made something out of nothing. And then Gus looked good too. He had a couple really nice open field runs. And then we were talking about while we were watching the game. He's the closer. You got to bring him in for this drive. We were saying it. Call his number, and he gets the win. Sounds like they put in a call about Cam Akers. It didn't really sound like it has gone much further than that quite
Jordan
yet.
Schultz of The Score. Is that who he's with?
I think he's Bleacher Report now. Yeah.
Bleacher Report. Yeah. He always sends me, Jack, we get into this with Jack a little bit, but Jordan maybe does for you too. Always sends me his tweets. Yeah. So he's got that whole Twitter platform buzzing along on those reports. Adarius Washington ends up on IR. I will say the mega culpa, to keep it brief, is that we forgot about the Zay Flowers bomb, Lamar Jackson. That throw is covered in that JT O'Sullivan QB school. Go check that video out. Even if you want to go watch one part of it, find where it's the Zay Flowers bomb, and I won't even talk about it because we did want to keep this a little brief. But such a smooth performance from a team that has struggled to really handle Lou Anarumo like that. It felt like we realized that they got the right defensive coordinator to put a lid on the Bengals. And then this year they got the right offensive coordinator to be able to move the ball on them and attack them and pick up what they're able to do with some of their pressure looks and things like that. The Bengals blitzed the crap out of Lamar Jackson, barely pressured him. So a really strong performance. It was the coordinator game, I would say.
Yeah, I said on Twitter, it felt like the first like real just uncut like shootout between Lamar and Joe Burrow. And I know Joe was hurt and everything, but it felt like in 2020, I mean, that wasn't really a fair fight. Like Joe was on a shitty team. And then 2021, that was kind of a wounded Ravens team to begin with the, Jamar Chase scoring that touchdown and just breaking that game open. And then since then it's been Burrow playing against, backups. And then you had kind of the wounded animal game between the both of them in the beginning of last year when the Ravens win, but it was just kind of a crappy offensive effort by both teams. This one, it felt like, and I know the Bengals had their issues, it felt like both teams were kind of firing on all cylinders, at least for most parts of the game. And I was just, enthralled by every second of it. So
most definitely. I did want to get to a new sponsor that we have. Very, very, very excited to announce that we are going to be able to start a segment. You'll see it on the socials. You'll see it on Twitter. You'll see it on the Instagram as well. I wanted to give a shout out to my buddy Sam Hennig, who has started the Smooth as Boop F-word shaving, grooming products, his and hers grooming products. We're going to be doing the That Was Smooth AF play of the week, which for me was Lamar Jackson dropping an absolute dime on a slot fade, which I did cover on YouTube if you want to go check that out. But that was so smooth. And not only was it the ball, the placement, the feeling of the Ravens coming through late in that game, but Nelson Aguilar's touchdown celebration. Let's talk about like the perfect touchdown celebration that wasn't over the top, wasn't like some huge thing. It was just the smoothest little dance that I've ever seen. So that was the Smooth AF play of the week, presented by Baltimore's own Smooth as Fuck. If you're not using their line of his and her shaving creams, moisturizers, shampoos, and conditioners, then you ain't that smooth. When a Baltimore master barber wanted to use the best shaving cream possible, he decided to make his own. Shave, moisturize, wash, and condition with Smooth AF. If you're tired also of his and hers bottles taking up space, it is the perfect product. It is moisturizer. It is shaving cream. It is also, you can have a shampoo too. So you'll be able to save space in those bathrooms. Go check out their line of lavender and CBD shaving and grooming products, which will leave you smelling good and feeling better at smoothafproducts.com. I think I was pretty smooth with that ad read too. If I'm not mistaken.
That was probably as smooth as I've seen. I've got to go with 27-17, 11 minutes to go in the game. Jadeveon Clowney just absolutely clowning, putting their right tackle in a multicolored clown suit there and just hunting Joe Burrow down on a second down, forcing a 3rd and long. I think they got the stop from there. Just we've talked a lot about this pass rush and the lack of having horses and the lack of being able to get there with 4. Obviously, it's a big deal. I don't think it's totally solved by him, but he looked really good in week 1, and then he kind of finished a playoff there, which is that's really what the Ravens need at that position. It's just finishers. Like OA looked great in week 1. I know he got hurt this past week, but they just needed a guy who could finish the play, and he did there on Joey B. I think an underrated play of that game, and I thought it was smooth as F.
Smooth AF. Smooth as boop, all that good stuff. They seriously are awesome. The lavender smells so good. I've been using it for years already. It's one of my actual best friends. Go support him. Go support the pod. Go to smoothafproducts.com. Jadeveon Clowney on that player talking about, I saw next gen stats, but I think Jonas Schaefer actually tweeted out, had a get off of 0.44 seconds, which is lightning fast. And it's just exactly as we expected, a gigantic, you keep calling him an Adonis, which is the perfect word, an Adonis with dreadlocks.
In the time of his life, he should be swinging.
He's an Adonis. But Clowney, aside from the fact that he doesn't have a number in the 90s, like it's Pernell McPhee. It's so many big, physical, overwhelming, explosive, not the most agile, cornering, ghost pass rush move, showmanship sacks, but just a violent son of a gun that can go wreck shop inside. So it feels right. It looks right. Clowney, who knows? We've talked about him a good bit. The trainer that he's with, I think, has a good track record of getting guys back to health. He needs to get them to the trade deadline. Like they just need Jadeveon Clowney to get their pass rush and their outside linebackers to the trade deadline. I really, truly feel the program is in place DB wise for the first time in a long time. I'll knock on wood on that one. Maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves, but if you add a good, like solidly, uniformly, undoubtedly good pass rusher to the outside. I think this defense is insane. I think this is a Super Bowl, very, very much so a Super Bowl potential team.
No, I'm right there with you. I think that's a good way of putting it too. They've got some soft games here in the opening part of the schedule, and I think it really softens out through the meat of the sandwich there. So, yeah, that's a good point, and one that we should be looking forward to. Great sponsored segment, by the way, and a shout out to all our sponsors. Jimmy's Famous Seafood, of course, is presenting today, and then we've also got Black Eyed Susan Spices and Fed Thrill. Sorry, guys, you're getting short shrift on the segments today, but like I said, we've got the interview going on, so we'll just call them presenting that. But anything else here out of the notebook before we get going?
Nothing crazy, man. Balanced offense, balanced defense. You got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to throw the ball. You got to be able to stop the run. You have to be able to stop the pass. And the Ravens did all of those things with confidence on Sunday. So really like that performance. Looking forward to this upcoming matchup. The good old Colts coming to town and going to be having a lot of fun. So we'll get that preview episode to you guys on Friday morning. Our interview with Jack is a ton of fun. Go subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening to this podcast right now, give us 5 stars. Share this podcast. Jake and I are working our tails off. We're going heavy schedule, lots of episodes, YouTube. We're going to have some merch cooking super soon. Keep an eye out for that. So we're excited about this season. We're excited about this switch to Exit 52. Love the jumbo set. Feels like me and you getting to have our little therapy sessions that we ended up having. Probably like one of our episodes would be a therapy session every week. The jumbo set. Come to Ravens Therapy with Jake and I every single Wednesday. This will be brought to your speakers. So we love you guys, and we can get out of here with that, I think.
Damn, that could have been a good title, Ravens Therapy. But I don't know. We have a good name anyway. So, yeah, thank you guys, as always, for listening. Be sure to stay tuned to the social channels as well at Jumbo Set Podcast on Twitter. You can shoot us mailbag questions there. Abbreviated episode this week, but we'll be getting back into taking listener questions as we move forward. And like he said, hit us up at Exit 52 Podcast on Twitter for main feed type stuff. I am at Jake Luke. That's Louque. Spencer is at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4. Like he said, please subscribe to the YouTube. It really helps us. We want to find a way to start monetizing that bad boy. Got to find a way to start making some money off this. I got to.
Yeah, I really need to find a way to make some money off this.
Get you driving crooner. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe there on YouTube. Subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're not already subscribed to this and you enjoy what you're listening to. And also we got plenty of other Ravens content on the flagship show, which is on this feed that you're listening to. We got our preview coming up for the Colts game, like you mentioned, reviews after every single game, and Orioles stuff as well. Going to be in the mix there as they gear up for the postseason. So thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you again very soon.
See you.
Arrivederci.
All right, we now welcome on a very special guest, somebody that we've interacted with a ton, love his content, great dude, great smile. We bring on Jack Settleman, founder, CEO of SnapBack Sports, running the Punchline Pod with Marlon Humphrey, doing it up, a Maryland man through and through, a McDonough man through and through as well.
Settleman.
Jack, super fired to have you here. How you doing, my friend?
I thought we weren't going to expose my McDonough roots. I thought we were just going to let that roll. But appreciate you guys having me on. It is always fun. COVID put us in a funny place where we all made internet friends. And I think you guys are some of my latest internet friends that we haven't officially done something together. So what better time than now? Clinch the playoffs, Ravens, looking like AFC North champs. This is when we should unite together.
Definitely. And I'm kind of curious about it. I mean, with us being sort of, in the scene a little bit with the sports media stuff, but you've kind of blown up. And I mean, just a dude from Baltimore County, just kind of like us. I mean, what's the road to where you are right now? Start us off from the beginning, how you got to, starting SnapBack and everything that you're doing, man. Give us the rundown.
Yeah. So I went to McDonough. It's a K through 12. I didn't get in kindergarten, but I did come back and got in the first grade. Went to school there my whole life, played soccer, played football in 8th grade. My career stats are 5 carries, negative 13 yards, but my first career carry was for 11 yards. So do the math on how that ended up. Ironically got denied from the entrepreneurship class at McDonough. I'd say I'd stick it to him, but no bad blood there. But I was always entrepreneurial, stringing, you guys remember the mini sticks, from Lax World, selling brownies at school, whatever it may be. Went to University of Texas at Austin, we are going to the college football playoff. Just want to get that on the airwaves as well.
I said Quinn Ewers' future for Heisman because the last two guys to go into Bama, and win, Heisman winners.
So you took it after. You weren't a believer until you saw the magic.
Nope. Wasn't a believer.
Fair enough. He had to prove himself, but we got a path.
Stocks when they're high instead of low because he believes in them.
Hey, sometimes you want to see the profits. You want to see the earnings. You don't want to invest off potential. You want to see that they're actually making some money. So I understand that. But I studied sport management there, and I would say like it wasn't that hard, completely truthfully. Like we were doing the stuff you see on TikTok where you would manage a 2K team and like submit that to a class. Like we were watching E60s and, you know, all that type of stuff as our class criteria. But it taught me like what I did and didn't want to do in sports. I didn't want to do like ticket sales. I didn't want to throw events. Ironically, now, like when you build a sports media company, that's, you know, you have to do all that stuff. And I'm learning to like it, but just started SnapBack my senior year. Thought process was I go to Ravens games, Orioles games when I'm home. I go to Knicks games when I'm in New York. And then just being in Austin, you know, you get tickets to football, basketball. You're 3 hours from Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. And it's just like, why aren't we showcasing sports? Like I have these opportunities. Found a community that just really loved it. We started on Snapchat, which is always like, whoa, you can do stuff on Snapchat, but we've got the largest sports Snapchat account. That's like the core of our business. We create content on there. And now full-blown media company, creating content around sports, behind the scenes, going to live events. Last year, we went to every Monday Night Football game. This year, we're doing every Thursday Night Football game. So, you know, it's been 6 years, 3 years full time really going at it. I worked at Action Network, so that's where my gambling roots come from. I mean, that's a lie. Like my gambling roots come from college and having a bookie, but my professional gambling roots come from there. And then just learned how to be a creator, content just in general. I think in sports media and independent personalities took off, and we're just riding that wave.
Love it, man. Love your content. Underdog, I think, as well, is I was going to say like best kept secret, but it's not a secret. It's like the most unique.
You're basically advertising for them on the podcast now without receiving any money. So
yeah, I talk about Underdog all the time on here. It's my favorite.
You guys can't even play Pick'em, right?
No, it's we used to be able to. Once Maryland became legal, they stopped letting me do Pick'em. Heartbreaking. I don't know what's going on. I'll do it. I love it. I need it. I won a best ball last year that was the biggest win I've ever had. I got third place in a playoff best ball out of one of the 40,000 person ones.
Wow.
And I took my pants off at the Super Bowl. We'll just leave it at that. But love that, man. Absolutely. So like you said, you're able to go cover Monday Night Football. Been traveling all around. Kudos to you for creating a business that allows you to go see every single event and have that be a business expense. You're just a genius, man. You're just a genius. But with that, at this point, you've seen what? Every NFL stadium?
We're close. I would have to look at all 32. It's funny. I've now seen like the Jag Stadium, but it was for Georgia, Florida. I've seen the Commanders Stadium or, you know, FedEx, but it was actually for Texas, Maryland. So I've probably seen 25, 26 stadiums. But I haven't seen a pro game in 26 stadiums, but we're pretty close. And after this year, like, I think this is the first Bears game I'll go to. There's a couple more. Pittsburgh. I've actually never been to a Steelers game. My McDonough mom wouldn't let me go to Pittsburgh in high school. She was like, you're going to get your ass beat, because we went to that playoff game against Manning and Indy, and we were probably like 13 years old. And the Indy fans, who are normally like very kind fans, they were like taunting us as 13-year-olds, like pouring beer on us. So I think she got a little scarred about me going to Heinz, you know, as a high schooler.
Steelers games used to be a lot different at Raven Stadium. The stories used to be way worse. I've seen some ridiculous things from way back in the day. But I think there's all the viral stuff. But from my experience, at least in my little ecosphere, the fighting has chilled out as a whole for the most part, even at like bars and things like that. So we love to see that.
If you're looking for a fight, you can find one.
Yeah.
I'll say that. There are plenty of people who are still looking for it. If you're not, you can definitely avoid. I will say my brother travels with me. He works for me. And so our policy that I've instilled is just, it's never serious, right? Like no matter what the chirp is, no matter like never engage, because then you're never going to get hit. And last year, one game, I said something. And after the fact, he was like, are you kidding me? Like, but I'll tell you what happened. We're at the Cincy game. We're actually at the DeMar Hamlin, situation. And that was one of the craziest experiences, right? Because we're at the game, service is limited. You see the EMS on the field. You got no clue what's going on. One of these brain dead Bengals fans, and this is not putting all Bengals fans in this category, so I don't want to make it
a brain dead
like
person who happened to be a Bengals fan.
Exactly. Yeah. He is standing up and he's literally, it makes me nauseous. He's like, he's dead. I'm like, wait a second. And think about it. It's dead silent because everyone's just in shock. They're checking their phones. He's standing up. Yeah, he's dead. And then he's like, at best case, this guy's brain dead. And he's just shouting this through the stadium. And I'm like, all right, to confront a dumbass fan, I get it. There's nothing to gain. But the one reason I did it is rumors can actually spread from that. And his parents are in the stadium. Could you imagine like if that rumor stemmed from that? So I said something to him. Fortunately, he was 3 rows ahead of me. He starts trying to climb up like and fight me about this. And I'm like, all right, if you look for it, it's there. But there's few and far between that you actually want to. I mean, we were in Philly and I made Casey wear a Ravens jersey. It was a punishment for something he lost. He got chirped more than Vikings fans. But if you don't engage back, they're not gonna fight you. So you got to be careful.
Is this week in San Fran or New York?
This week's in San Fran.
Okay, so heading out to the big bell bottom there, Levi's Stadium.
Yeah, Levi's pretty nice. We got out there last year. We will make a day trip, so we fly Thursday morning 6 a.m. We come back Friday morning 6 a.m. Those ones, there's only one West Coast game that we're doing that for, but that's as brutal as it gets.
Favorite experience, least favorite experience on the road?
Favorite experience, and this supersedes football, is Lambeau. Like Lambeau and MSG to me are the two places that I've been, at least in the U.S. sports, where you go and it's more than just the game, right? You don't have to be a sports fan to actually go and see it. Lambeau, you walk in, and you guys would love this too. It's football. Like you just feel football. Like people are just drinking beer. They got the museum. Least favorite experience. My brother hated Buffalo. That's because his best friend's a Bills fan and they make shit miserable. Our Uber driver was like, we're joking with him, trying to egg him on. He's like, yeah, we're not winning the Super Bowl this year. We're starting a dynasty. And I'm like, buddy, like you guys, like one step at a time. And there's nothing to do in Buffalo. The actual stadium and the wings in Buffalo are fantastic. I don't know if that's my least favorite experience, but that's one that there's not a ton to do in Buffalo.
It didn't really stand out.
You see the Chiquillo Spikes tweet from this past Sunday?
I did. That was hilarious. Yeah, they honored him as a legend before the game, and then he tweeted out where they put him in the seats. He was pretty much like outside the stadium. Like he couldn't see anything outside of the end zone. It was wild.
It's just one of the funniest pictures I've seen. Like he's just sitting there, like the obstructed view. It's just like intently watching. Like
and Jake, didn't he must have had someone take a picture of him, right? It wasn't like his vantage point. He's in the photo.
Curious, I was wondering if it was him or if he was taking a picture of somebody else. I am pretty sure though that he was like, yeah, like you snap a picture of me, like, and like make sure you frame it up so that the obstructed view shows. Like it's just a funny visual, like a funny idea.
Unreal.
Absolutely unbelievable. Well, love it. I'm sure Philly was a ton of fun last week. I have the Ravens head out to Levi this year. I was looking at that one. I've been eyeing that one up.
Christmas game?
Yeah, I've been eyeing that one up a good bit. Might have to.
Yeah, it's week 16. That's the first game we won't be favored in the season after last week. So that's a good sign. That means we're a good team. And we're doing Thursday in Baltimore, week 11 against Cincy. So hopefully you guys I want to figure out what to do, like between what we already do on Thursdays, between Punchline, and then with all, my Baltimore crew, including you guys, like whether it's just some massive tailgate. We threw a tailgate in Philly. It was really fun. Like had people come out, unlimited drinks, had Madden out there, like did content. So we totally where do you guys tailgate when you go to the games?
So Jake goes to a spot that is unbelievably good. I don't want to say like exactly where it is because there's like 50 people that go there. It's a $50 all you can eat, all you can drink. Jake will tell you more about it. I'll just say the first time I showed up there, they have a full crush bar. You just like Venmo this guy $50. The dudes like go out on their boat every single, I think like Saturday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning. They'll go catch tuna and smoke it in a smoker all day. Yeah. And they'll just walk around. It's like these big bearded dudes. Jake will tell you a little more about it, but they'll just walk around serving you like delicious brisket and tuna. And they have a crush bar and 10 coolers of beer. It is an unbelievably low key, like banger tailgate.
Yeah, I don't think a McDonough tailgate, Jake. Did you stumble amongst some McDonough alums?
Actually, it's a Gerstel tailgate, believe it or not. And these guys are it's quite something. He's doing it justice by that. I mean, you know, jars of moonshine being passed around and just a lot of colorful characters rolling through, which is what you want. A lot of purple camo pants. It's right where you want to be on a Sunday afternoon in Baltimore.
So my mom is from Pikesville, and there's a gentleman, shout out to Guru. Shout out to Guru. He has adopted a full Buddhist lifestyle. He has a 3-foot beard. He is a Pikesville hippie Jew. Coming from my mother is also in that category as well. So I show up with my mom, and she's like, I can't even recall his name off the top of my head. Everyone calls him Guru. She goes, "Oh my God, Guru is here."
I don't know his real name. I just call him Guru.
I do. I can't remember it though. And I'm not going to say it anyway. But the guy is unbelievable. Unbelievable vibes there. Great collection. We did an event last year at Pickett Brewing. We did a live stream, which is right next to really where that same tailgate is. Ultimately, but Cole Jackson is flying down from Canada too. Our boy, he came down there last year for that. So we'll definitely have to set up something for that Bengals game. Yeah. I think the tailgate would be ideal, like in the lot, if we got a big tailgate.
We're in we do like I think it's H2. But not big enough for the type of event I'm trying to plan with you guys. Like, I think we could get a couple hundred people out and have just like an absolute time. So
hit us up if you're listening to this. Hit us up if you want to come to that. We'll start. If anybody has ideas, flow them into the DMs. DMs are always open. Plus, Jack, we plan on having Jack on. Jack is going to be traveling and such. We might be getting, a little bit of a video at times, but we wanted to bring you on because you're doing Thursday Night Football. That's awesome. We're recording this jumbo set every single Tuesday night, so it comes out on Wednesday. So what is your Twitter says you're the head of gambling, head of content,
head of winning.
There we go. Head of winning. So as
the Charlie Sheen, the winning on my soundboard here, because I would have dropped that.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So we're looking at a Giants 49ers matchup. We're going to have Saquon Barkley out for that one. The Giants obviously playing in some crazy games on a negative side, on a positive side. What is standing out to you pick wise? What do we have? What is the spread here for tomorrow night? We've got ultimately
10.5.
Yeah, 10.5 I've seen. 49ers minus 560 money line. Over under is 44. The total is 44 as things sit right now. So what is standing out to you when you look ahead of this matchup for tomorrow?
So this is your just absolute classic. Am I laying 10.5 points in a professional football game? And then you think, of course, because the Giants are not good. They're missing their best player. They're on a short week. Now, note, they are staying out west. They played Arizona, so it's not like they're making a West Coast trip. And then the next thought is logically, is it a trap? Are they going to cover the 10.5? It's a lot of points. Maybe I'm a little bit conditioned based off what happened last Thursday, which was I was kind of fading the chalk. Like everyone was playing Addison overs. I still think the Addison under was the right play. He just got loose for a deep touchdown, but he wasn't even in wide receiver.
It wasn't a big volume. The fantasy points and stuff weren't super high.
Exactly. And then on the other side, it's like, oh, we're riding DeAndre Swift. He's RB1. And I'm like, I don't know. They didn't even give him a touch in the first game, right? And all the chalk smashed. Jefferson, 120 yards. Cousins, 800 attempts, 3 touchdowns, right? Like all the chalk smashed. But with a big favorite in a game, there is a high likelihood that the chalk is going to smash, right? Like the obvious game script's going to play out. In my opinion, San Fran should get out to an early lead, shut down the Giants, score some points, and then run the ball. So I think I'm leaning towards just playing like Brock Purdy unders, McCaffrey overs, Daniel Jones overs, Matt Breida unders from the prop perspective. I rarely am rarely ever am going to lay 10.5 points on a game. If I had to, I would, but I probably won't bet the spread. The total with the way San Fran can score isn't interesting to me either. I've just been playing the worst team's team total under. So like I liked the Saints last night, but I didn't love them spread. They ended up pushing. So I just played Carolina under 18.5 points. The fact that they even got to 17 was like a minor miracle. Same thing when we played Houston. Like I didn't want to lay however many 10 points were favorites against them, 9.5. So
I'm pretty sure
played
10-point favorites only cover, I think when I looked at the last 5 years of 2018 through 2022, I think it was like 31% of the time 10-point favorites cover.
Yeah, it's just a lot I mean, you could be up 17 points, right? They could be blowing them out. It could be 27-10, and then some fluke stuff could happen on the last drive.
Because when a professional offense kicks into gear, they can move the football, they can score some points.
Yeah, it's early in the year. People have more energy. Like they're just going to be in these games a little bit more, I think.
Yeah. So I lean. I don't know what the Giants team total is, but my take is if you are on the side that you want to lay the 10.5 points, I lean just taking the Giants team total under, because what are the chances that like they're going to score a ton? Like to be in the game, it feels like they got to limit San Fran. If they get into a shootout with the San Fran
turnovers, be able to get a strip sack, be able to pick a ball off, something like that. Keep it low.
So that's kind of my analysis. I'll probably ride Giants team total under. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm hot right now. I've hit 7 in a row. So
I saw. We're getting on here while you're hot to start. That's what we wanted.
Yeah.
It's a great start. Well, Jack, what else you got going on? Where can everybody follow you? We don't want to keep you too long, but we do want to have you. Jack will be coming on. Jake has more.
Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah.
Jack, if you don't know, Marlon Humphrey kind of like lives in Jake's brain. Jake is very perplexed by him as a human being. I
was early. Everyone is now.
It's been a running bit for a long time.
Yeah, but no, he. I feel like I noticed him going insane on Twitter like before a lot of other people did, and now it's like very much in the mainstream. I feel like he leans into it a little bit as a character. How did that relationship with him start? Because I'm very fascinated by Marlon Humphrey.
So he is, I mean, tomorrow's episode or Wednesday's episode, by the way, everyone, you can watch the Jumbo and you can watch Punchline. You got enough time in your day. Don't worry about splitting time.
Absolutely.
But tomorrow's episode will really showcase, I mean, his mind is just everywhere. And we touched everything, including the fact that he watched Sunday's game at the Owings Mills Buffalo Wild Wings. So like, that is, that's peak Marlon Humphrey.
That's one of the worst Buffalo Wild Wings I've ever been in, by the way.
He said that too. He literally said
it is a worst establishment.
So yeah, he's just like that. He's unfiltered, which is why I figured he'd make a good podcast. And everything he tweets, it genuinely runs through his mind. It isn't something where he's like, "Ooh, this could get people going." Like he really does think.
You can't force the things that he puts out there.
You just can't. So yeah, he's really like that. Underdog Fantasy's co-founder, CEO, Jeremy Levine, he connected me with Marlon a couple years ago. They were friends. Marlon's actually like super active in like investing, crypto, real estate, sports cards, right? So like he actually has, the smart business side of him, even though sometimes he puts on this front. And Jeremy connected me, and then we were just friends on social. We met up, and then with the Kelsey brothers, I'll give credit to them. Like their athlete-driven podcast content just got super hot. And I was like, no wonder it's going to make sense. Like everything I've ever wanted to do is find out from these athletes. Like, what do they do day to day? Where do you watch a game if you're hurt? Apparently it's a Buffalo Wild Wings. So once we kind of had that, we just put a proposal together, worked on that, and it's been fun. Hopefully getting some big guests, Ravens guests coming up over the next few weeks. We're supposed to get, I'll just leave it as we're supposed to get a guest who got hurt. Now, that unfortunately means, we could have had a bunch of different Ravens, but yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun with him.
So what's the approach to kind of make it different? Because like these athlete podcasts, you mentioned the Kelsey one, and it's really good. What's the approach? Because sometimes it's a little hit or miss. They get in front of a microphone like, oh, this is easy, and then they don't really do a ton of prep, and they kind of they peter out on it. And you guys are doing a really good job so far, but like did you kind of have that thought? Like,
Marlon and Ronnie had their own not too long
yeah,
ago.
they did, exactly. And it's like, so what did you have a thought process? Like, I need to like,
yeah, it's funny. Like, people actually really like that pod. I didn't listen to a ton of it, but we'll still get replies like, bring back Guru Punch. So credits to them for that. Then he did Studio 44, which, you know, if you know Marlon, sitting down in the corporate offices of the Baltimore Ravens and like them posting it, it's just not like a perfect match. And when we talked to our friends at the Ravens, they were like, we're so happy that he's doing content because he's a gold mine of content, but it's probably best outside of, and we'll pick up the things that work for the Ravens, right? But that's totally something, Jake, that like you're seeing a ton of athlete pods start to drop. And the question is like, why would I give a shit? Like, why am I going to go and listen? I get it. They bring an interesting angle, but it's got to be something else. So it's two things. The first thing is there athlete buy-in, and like, do they want to be doing it? Because the one that I always point to, and not to like crap on them, but Jalen Ramsey did a podcast with Uninterrupted last year. Like, you saw the press release and then you didn't hear a single thing about it because the Rams are bad. He wasn't having a great season, so he didn't want to talk publicly. He didn't buy in, right? Like, versus you see someone like Draymond Green, he would suck in the NBA Finals and then go and shit on himself, right, on a podcast.
37 minutes later, he's absolutely destroying himself and bowing to LeBron.
So always bowing to LeBron. So our angle is definitely that, which is it's a buy-in from Marlon. It's an unfiltered portion. And then the other side that I think is underrated is like distribution. So with SnapBack, we have added distribution where we could get this stuff in front of people. And then we have network where the NFL is going to work with us. We're going to work with the Ravens. We'll work with BR Gridiron. We'll work with, Spence, we're also, I'm a creator first, right? So I know what other creators want to share. So if I DM Spence and I'm like, hey, here's a funny clip talking about Roquan, it doesn't feel like it's an ad. It doesn't feel like I'm asking him to do anything. It honestly helps his account as much as it gets us publicity, right?
It's dual engagement, and it is a grassroots ad that doesn't feel forced at all. It's like when you're in sales, sometimes you're supposed to say, hey, I'm not sure if this is for you, but it's like putting a feeler out without the added pressure.
And I think so many people, they don't really want to put in the work to like, they just want to shoot him, time codes, or they just want to say, hey, new episode drop, like clip anything you want.
They don't see like the hours that goes into it. They don't see the prep. They don't know like about like how to get equipment, how to like do all that stuff. It's like, oh, it's just a podcast. It's easy. But like, there's a little bit more that goes into it. Like,
there's so much more that people like we've gotten picked up by
hardest job in the world.
It's so hard.
Yeah, it is. The Kelsey said it. And we were sitting in a meeting with Marlon, and we've got like our whole, pitch deck, whole thing. And I said to him, look, we're only doing this if you understand the level of commitment like it takes. Like, it is crazy. And we understand football is first. That 100% football. But this needs to be too. Like, it can't be one of another thing. It has to be too. And so that buy-in is just giving us so much confidence on the SnapBack side that we picked the right guy. And also, I think a lot of people are going at it at like a 1 year at a time. Like, we signed we have Marlon Humphrey locked up longer than the Ravens have Marlon Humphrey locked up. Let's just leave it at that. Wow. So it's like, you have to get that level of commitment, and we'll see. I thought Paul George was a weird one at first because, he's got the profile, but I didn't see Paul George as that type. But Paul George is bought in, and he's become a fantastic host, and he gets it, right? And I think we did so much research on this, but like Trae Young really struggled out of the gate. He thought, my name's Trae Young. I got 1 million followers on Instagram. I made fun of the Knicks once, right? I could do whatever I touch is going to be good. And I think they underestimated what it would take. But now they're getting, okay, we got to get Lonzo. We get this social promotion. We get PR, right? So there's so much that goes into it. It's a full-time job. We've got a full-time staff. We built a studio in Marlon's apartment. Like, we're still going to make it as easy as possible on him because he's a diva and he plays corner and, he plays football. But you got to get buy-in.
That structure, especially football. Football is the most structured, militaristic type of athlete maybe that exists. The routine, so many guys that go to big schools in college, go to the NFL where there's slightly less structure. Talk about that. Yeah. Like that used to be a huge Alabama thing. Like Trent Richardson's talked about that a ton. I don't know what to do now that I have free time. So providing that structure, I feel like, is imperative.
Yeah, it's also equally as funny to see, and he says that all the time. He's like, 17-week season, right? It's just on repeat. It's the same shit over and over again. And then we finish recording the podcast, and it's obviously because he's hurt right now. He's just rehabbing, but like he doesn't know what to do. He's like, I'm gonna go to the movies. Like he actually has free time at the moment because he doesn't know what to do in season because all his friends are at the facility, right? They're watching film, they're practicing, they recover, they eat, and then they just do it over again. So it is fun to watch like some of that stuff as well. But yeah, the athlete driven pod stuff, it's fun. Everyone, and this is for everyone, right? Like you guys have an angle to your shows. We did a podcast, a SnapBack Sports podcast that hit number 1 on the charts. It hit number 1 on the charts because I knew how to work the algorithm. And this was early on, 4 or 5 years ago. 5-star reviews, you get ratings. Like we would just spam that and do giveaways. And we literally hit 1. It was amazing for marketing. It didn't do shit for downloads. And after 4 years, I took a step back and I was like, this is just 2 dudes talking generally about sports. We didn't play high level. We're not super funny, like, part of my take. We're not live like Pat McAfee. We're not. And it's like, why would anyone, like, you have to be honest with yourself and say, why would anyone tune into this? I think Marlon and guests to come and the way that we're running the show, that there's reason for people to tune in. And after 4 episodes, we've seen the numbers say, yeah, there's definitely an audience for it. And hopefully with more to grow.
Definitely. Well, it shows through really well, and just wanted to pay you that compliment. I do think it is off to a pretty good start, and definitely different than the athlete pods we've listened to. But yeah, man, I guess we've taken up enough of your time here. I guess we were already getting you out of there, but I had to dive deep into the Marlon stuff.
No, we needed to talk Marlon Humphrey.
Of course, we wanted to plug Punchline too, of course.
I need to hear more, maybe offline, about Jake's because when we were talking Marlon investing, I saw a light in his head go off. I see there's some suspect that I need to uncover.
There's a lot to it, and everyone that's listening to this is probably giggling. This has been going on for years. This is an evolution of Jake's thought process of Marlon Humphrey. We asked a question, and this is what maybe we'll take offline, but we've had like a running bit for like 3 weeks now. I posed the question to Jake. We have a sponsored segment when we do the flagship Exit 52 podcast, our one burning question. Shout out to Black Eyed Susan Spices. But I said, what is the dynamic between Odell Beckham and Marlon Humphrey? How do they exist? Are they like a cat and a dog? Is it like the Ravens told Marlon, like, hey, can you kind of leave him alone as he adjusts a little bit, like things like that?
We get an behind the scenes report on that because I hadn't thought of that, and then he really just piqued my interest. It's just
all right. I'll give it to you.
We're waiting for the first team victory plane ride home to see the level, how much Odell is on there. That's what we've been waiting for a couple weeks.
Okay. Because everyone knows the dynamic with Lamar, where Lamar just hates him. Just straight up, like it shows him no love. Get that camera out of my face. And what the dynamic is with Odell. So Odell was supposed to come on Monday, and I'm dying to be like when you're watching a movie with your parents and the sex scene comes on. I said to Marlon, can I just pull up the fight? Like, I just want to see that interaction. He was like, I don't know, like we'll see, whatever. But Odell was obviously a guest we want to get on the show. And so when we asked him very early on what the dynamic is he someone that would make sense? He was like, yeah, me and Odell are cool. Ironically, Marlon has been accidentally like big dicking him. Like OBJ was like, yo, come practice with us down in Florida. And he was like out of town. And then he was like, yo, come to this party. And he was out of town. He said, come to Drake with him. He decided to hang with this girl. So like the irony is that with how annoying Marlon is that it's actually Odell who can't get a hold of him. But they play golf together at one of the Baltimore country clubs, and we were hanging out with them. So they're cool, but it is a hilarious dynamic. And I'm just intrigued, genuinely intrigued, how a podcast episode with Marlon's energy versus Odell. I met him very briefly at the course, but like he's super reserved. Like he actually is not.
I feel like he is just low key to the definition of low key.
Some interesting reporting coming out about him today too. I don't know if we saw that.
What was that?
Something about somebody he may or may not be seeing, who may or may not belong to a very famous family.
That leaked? I cannot confirm.
That's been leaking for a while.
Okay. I can't confirm nor deny, but let's just say we would love to get the official source on Punchline.
Like on the show, yeah.
But yet the funny thing is he is the most low key of people, but he is living the most high key profile literally in the NFL. I mean, he has 18 million followers. So
more Richard Mille on the field.
On the line. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, there we have it. That really Jake looks like he just like got finished running a marathon a little bit. There's a little bit of a like runner's high that is now settled, and he can just relax at
Jake,
having that a
just
little bit.
hit me in the DMs. Any questions you have, I will 100% include them, because if you're thinking them, guess what? We're all thinking them, and they need to be answered from this man.
Feels like a full circle moment for me there. Feels like I've ascended to a new level here with this. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. How about you go ahead and, we've already talked about it a little bit, but plug everything you got going on Thursday Night Football, Punchline, all that stuff before we get you going.
Yeah. Check us out. Check us out on Punchline on YouTube. We're really pushing YouTube. Shout out to Spence and Jake. You guys are going the YouTube route. It's the way to be, video content. So Punchline's on YouTube. It's on all your podcast platforms. My stuff's just my name, at Jack Settleman. And then if you want to check out the SnapBack stuff, SnapBack Sports across all platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and then, of course, on Snap. So appreciate you guys for having me. I will be home for some Orioles playoff game. So hope to see you guys prior, hopefully, before that Thursday night game. But definitely, if the people want it, make sure to hit our DMs and let us know. Do you want tuna, like the Gerstel, tailgate, or you want to be in the lots with me and Spencer, and we'll just be shaving beards, getting tats, and drinking beer.
All the best stuff. So we have that. We have a couple picks. We're going to have Jack on every week for a little bit. Wanted to get a full kind of interview set in there. Get familiar with Jack. He's going to be popping in on the jumbo set every single Wednesday morning when you guys are listening to this. So thank you so much, Jack. We appreciate you. We'll be talking with you next week, my friend.
Appreciate you, fellas. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
See ya.
Plays really, really hard, and they execute the system, and that's what it's all about. Yes, sir. Trust. Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir. Right on cue. Hey, let me close.